Gotta get a contract. Gotta make it legally binding, obviously, because it's the NBA.
Yeah.
So it's a union.
Uh-huh.
But it was basically like how to stop people from flopping in the NBA. Go ahead and partner up with Charmin toilet paper.
Charmin toilet paper, okay.
So you partner up with Charmin toilet paper, and then when in any given game or series, the person who's flopping the most, complaining to the refs the most, whining, becomes the Charmin Ultra Soft player of the game. And they are legally obliged because of the union of the National Basketball Players Association, the NBPA.
Yeah.
That they would have to then do a press conference on behalf, and then at the end of the season, there's a Charmin Ultra Soft Player of the Year that for the duration of the off season into the next season, they must represent Charmin Ultra Soft, and then they carry around the badge of honor as being the Ultra Soft Player of the league.
So it's kind of like the Walter Payton Man of the Year for the NFL, but like in the worst way.
Yeah, like I mean, like nobody, like if you knew that if you were notorious for complaining, you would become Ultra Soft. You'd be known as the Ultra Soft Player of the Year.
No one would complain. It'd be the ultimate non-complaining league.
And it would be totally legal, viable, and doable. And again, I'm not taking credit for this. I definitely saw this on a TikTok. I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
That being said, welcome to the new series on the Brews and Bros podcast network where we just talk about sports. There's not a name for it just yet. This is the first episode, obviously. We'll come up with a name later. But that's what it is we're going to talk about sports. Me and Ryan both know some people who have some, let's just say that they are terrible takes on the sporting world, whether it's, the old age Michael Jordan and LeBron debate versus Tom Brady versus the rest of the world.
Yo, honestly, just with some good ideas. Because Ryan's got some shitty takes, but Bradley's got good takes.
Big true. He's not schizophrenic, people. He just has two personalities.
So you don't know that. I definitely have Tourette's or something. But so what we can do is not only I think that this would be a good place where we can talk about the age-old arguments, but I think we could even dive into some weird shit because we'd be talking about weird shit like, top 5 players doing a certain thing, or even what if we were to do let's fucking make a bowling league. Who of famous athletes currently playing would you like having your bowling team? Like I'm saying, we could delve as deep as that. We could go funny. Hey, what famous basketball player would you want to come help you hide a fucking body? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna keep that train of thought. This is a good first episode right here. Who would you have on your bowling league? You get 5 dudes on a bowling league. You got to think.
So am I limited to one sport, or one player per sport, or just any players, athletes,
any players,
active players, all time,
all time, whatever you want. 5 players all time.
So as tip top in my sports knowledge as of today goes, given you and I are both kind of young, I'm not super versed in sports history. I can't tell you Hall of Famers that played in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, no, sir.
So, I might say Aaron Donald, right? And then let's say I pick 5 players akin to Aaron Donald, and somebody at home might go you forgot about fucking...
You forgot about Lawrence Taylor back in the 1990s.
You forgot about Ronald Lauderd, known as Ronnie Lott. I'm not... His name isn't Ronald Lauderd, but...
obviously, for sure.
But what if his name is Ronald Lauderd?
It could be. So that would break it down. The weird shit.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
That sounds like a fake fucking person.
That's his real name. Did you know that? That's his real name, bro. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Put some respect on the name. He wouldn't be on my bowling team.
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. So typically bowling teams are guys from work, guys from town. Typically bowling leagues kind of maybe start in a small town, right? Bowling alley down there in fucking Lafayette, Louisiana, back in the 1960s was a small town probably, right? So I know Tom, I know Jim, I know whoever from the construction work that we're doing building this goddamn levee. So they're on my bowling team. Why? Because we all go bowling, because that's a big thing to do in town. So you got to think to yourself, throughout all the sports, who are you putting on your bowling team? Who seems like who seems like a good hometown kind of guy to you?
So I don't know if so to me, when I think of it, I like your take on the hometown thing, but I'm just saying, like, am I gonna pick dudes that just seem like they would get drunk and go to the hometown bar? No. My idea of this bit is to culminate athletes to have the winningest bowling team to ever live.
Oh, so you're all about championships. You're about who runs the bowling league in this town.
Who am I gonna have on my bowling team that's just gonna be goated?
Well, let's see.
5 dudes.
You got to start putting. You got to think hockey players are good because they got the wrist action.
So to me, bowling is not mechanically all that hard. Some fucking jamoke that still works at a warehouse that lives in the local town can bowl a 300.
For sure.
So you have to think who are going to be players that are going to mechanically dedicate themselves to getting as good as possible, understanding every aspect of the game, and learning every little widget about it. First up, Steph Curry's on my team.
Oh, 1,000%.
Steph Curry's
on that list.
Steph Curry is on my fucking bowling team because if I said, Steph Curry, you're a bowler now, be the best, he'll figure out how to bowl a strike every throw every time. And he'll throw it from the parking lot. He'll shoot it like a basketball, still strike.
I don't know if I want that guy in my bowling league throwing it like a basketball.
No,
that's how you damage the bowling.
Well, because Steph Curry wouldn't actually do that, though. But you know who would throw the bowling ball like a basketball? AB.
Oh, 100%. Antonio Brown. He would 1,000% throw that bowling ball like it was a football, a basketball, whatever fucking ball he could get a hold of. He's throwing it like that.
And it'd somehow be a strike 80% of the time. All the teams in the league would want him. And then 2 or 3 fucking games in, he just walks out because he's mad. That's not a guy you want on your team.
No. So you wouldn't want AB on your team purely for, I guess, semantics is the word. Like, you wouldn't want, like, he seems like a troublesome kind of guy. He seems like the kind of guy who would order 1 or 2 mini pitchers and you're, 7th, 8th frame and he's wrecking shop. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely not the kind of guy who you want in a bowling alley in general.
So I just had this thought while you were talking. Next on the list, definitely on the bowling team, Ben Roethlisberger. He's on the fucking bowling team.
He is stiff like a board, and you know that his form is fantastic.
His form is fantastic.
You might not like it. You might not like it.
He's definitely drinking the most.
Oh, well, for sure.
He's the guy who's drunk, but he's the guy that you have to get to drink first because he's not as good until he drinks.
Exactly. It's just like beer pong. The drunker he gets, the better he gets at bowling.
Now, the problem is you get Ben too drunk, he starts fucking hitting on the waitstaff.
Exactly.
Starts trying to take bitches home. But Big Ben's got to be on the team. So you got Steph Curry for me. I don't know about your team. I got Steph Curry for sure. I think we agree on that.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to have Big Ben up there. And then you got to think, who's going to be like the glue? Who's the glue?
So you got to think.
Who's the Scottie Pippen of the bowling? It's not Scottie Pippen, but who's...
It's not Scottie Pippen, for sure.
Because that guy's he's a whiny bitch. 20 years later, he's going to throw your name under the bus in a documentary. So, who is your glue?
Well, you got to think. The glue of what holds the team together. Leadership. Being able to boost morale when it's bad. Some other shit that I don't know because I'm not from the sporting world. I don't know.
Is Brett Favre on your team?
He likes to send, at least allegedly, he likes to send illicit pictures.
So what you're telling me is...
So him and Ben Roethlisberger might be in the same boat.
But if they're together, it's like they're too bad for each other.
The chemistry is not good. The chemistry is not good. Because
Like,
you got to have good chemistry on a bowling team.
So, like, if you're taking Ben, you're not taking Favre. If you're taking Favre, you're not taking Ben. Because you get them together, they get too drunk.
Exactly. They get way too drunk. They do a lot of stupid shit. Things just go bad. Things are just going bad if those two are on the same team.
Sean Payton's on my list.
Elaborate. I'm curious to hear is exactly why Sean Payton, out of all these people.
You ever seen Sean Payton before?
Well, of course.
You know that man bowls. Just like every football player just happens to be a really good golfer. Sean Payton's a bowler.
Sean Payton definitely strikes me as the kind of guy who would go bowling. For sure.
And he's that like when Steph Curry maybe just throws that gutter. Just kidding, that would never happen. But if he throws that fucking 9-pinner or hitting that 7-10 split, Sean Payton's gonna be like, "Hey, man."
He would pull him aside.
Yeah,
he kind of.
That's what I mean. He's the glue.
He would essentially coach them.
Yeah, he's what he coaches.
You know, he might dabble.
Oh, Sean Payton. He played for the Bears. That's how I know him.
That he did. So did Jim Harbaugh.
Who's that?
Or actually, no. Jim Harbaugh played for the Colts. That's my bad.
John Harbaugh play?
No, it wasn't John. It was Jim.
Well, Jim is the coach for Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. Jim Harbaugh almost sent Indianapolis to the Super Bowl in 1995. I just seen it on Instagram.
But did John Harbaugh play? Coach of the Ravens. He had to have.
Maybe he.
See, we're not cut out for a sports podcast. We don't even know if John Harbaugh played football.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes us fun. That's what makes us fun because of for us being young and our limited knowledge.
This is how you get good knowledge, is starting doing this kind of shit.
Starting doing shit like this. Like, you start talking about it.
Like, because we could be like the 60-year-olds that know everything about all the sports.
Exactly. We'll be those guys. We'll be the guys at fucking McDonald's ordering a fucking small coffee, bullshitting and, fighting over, who the greatest fucking D-end was in football.
Dude, I have a whole nother bit, so we got to finish this bowling one.
So Steph Curry for sure.
Yeah.
I'd probably take Big Ben. Big Ben would be a good one.
Big Ben's a great one.
You got to start thinking baseball. I feel like Babe Ruth. Would be.
You're looking at the Ben Roethlisberger problem. First of all, you got to think, like, if we're taking these players, I can't have Babe Ruth in my fucking bowling alley. He's racist.
Okay.
Dude, there's no way.
I'll give you that.
He wouldn't even work with Steph Curry. Fuck no.
What Babe Ruth doesn't know won't hurt him, you know what I'm saying?
Just tell him that this guy tans a lot. Steph Curry's going to stand up for his blackness, though. He's not going to allow that. Especially in today's culture. Babe Ruth would get canceled, bro.
Oh, Babe Ruth would be taken out back and executed in the streets.
Babe Ruth would probably kill himself if he was alive.
Before knowing...
If he was alive to watch Barry Bonds.
Oh, my God. No. He's turning in his fucking grave.
Because you know how many people called Barry Bonds Babe Ruth? You know what I mean? Like, they were the same player in different times.
Lou Gehrig. Another white guy. Also racist, probably. For sure.
Too injury prone.
Dude,
that's fucked up.
It is. It is. Your life might not be as good as you thought it was if you have a whole ass disease named after you. You know what I'm saying? He's not on the bowling team.
So Lou Gehrig's not on the bowling team.
He's gone. And what sucks is, like, I can't help but think of basketball players like LeBron, for instance. I wouldn't put LeBron on a bowling team.
Why not?
Too ego prone. He'd be the guy who would promote your bowling team to the point where no one would like your fucking bowling team. There would be people at the bowling alley booing you purely because he's on your team.
I think it's the other way around. I think people boo him because he's not on their team. Like, that's a weird phenomenon that I found.
So I could see that.
That's a phenomenon that I have in sports. Like, right now, who's the most, like, polarizing player in all the sports? It's probably Tom Brady, right?
Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes.
Because people hate these guys, right? You can say, oh, man, fuck Tom Brady, fuck that. And you're a Lions fan. Find me a Lions fan that wouldn't take Tom Brady on their team if he's like, I want to play for the Lions. Lions fans are like, no, don't come here. Yeah, right.
But the moment he starts winning, the moment your bowling league starts moving up in them brackets,
and that's how you know he's the GOAT, because you can't just hate a player because he's good.
That was the lesson that I learned very, very early going into sports, especially as a football fan. You know, going from being a Minnesota Vikings fan, you know, seeing them go to the NFC Championship, get shit on by the fucking Saints. You wake up the next day as a 14, 15-year-old kid, all you want to do is hate that team that beat yours. Because you have no maturity. But then growing up, you kind of realize, yeah, I might not like that team because they're not my favorite. I didn't grow up with them.
You learned that because of Brett Favre, huh?
Kind of, sort of. And so you learn that sports, you have to mature in sports. Otherwise, you just sound like a fucking crabby old man. You just sound like a complainer. You sound like a whiner. You sound like the Charmin Ultra Soft Player of the Year.
Okay.
Going forward, you kind of realize I might not like, whatever happens. I don't like this person. But you kind of realize that they're good for what they do. So like a Drew Brees, an Aaron Rodgers, a LeBron James, stuff like that. Because, you have the generation that grew up with Kobe. LeBron was in there, but everyone who's a Kobe fan is a diehard Kobe fan. They don't want to be a LeBron fan, despite the fact that how good he is. I don't care how many finals he goes to, he's not Kobe. And that kind of...
I feel like there's mad people that were huge Lakers fans that like live in LeBron's legacy, in Kobe's legacy, and love LeBron.
Do they love LeBron because they love the Lakers, or do they love LeBron because they love LeBron? That's the question.
Well, that's the problem with basketball, is it's too player oriented.
For sure.
It's too star driven. It's too player driven, and that's my issue with basketball. But going back to the main point is, like, do you really not want LeBron on your bowling team?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. You don't, just because you don't think he'd be a good bowler.
Not because I don't think he'd be a good bowler. You know who's a better bowler?
Who's a better bowler?
Shaq.
I thought you were gonna say Kobe.
Shaq, 1,000%. I can't throw free throws, but guess what I'll do? I'll drain that 7-10 split.
Dude, I don't know about that, man. That man could not shoot a free throw, so I don't know that he's hitting a fucking split. His hands are too big. He'd have to get custom milled balls.
So you're saying
he doesn't have the fine-tuned mechanics.
He doesn't. He can't handle himself under pressure.
No, it's not that. It's that he was good in the league because he was a fucking. He was a specimen.
He's good to paint for
sure.
He's
a specimen, and he was invaluable to a basketball team. But I don't think he has the fine-tuned mechanics of bowling.
I got another person, Wayne fucking Gretzky.
Why?
Arguably one of the greatest hockey players to ever play of all time.
Okay.
He looks like a fucking guy who would definitely bowl. 1,000%.
But we also get back to our, like, too many Indians, not enough, or too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. What happens when you have Big Ben and Wayne Gretzky getting smashed? You got to think, maybe Big Ben isn't on the team. Because
I feel like
there's too many good players that would just make Big Ben a wash, and Big Ben needs everyone to be perfect around him.
I could see Wayne Gretzky kind of pulling himself together and leading that team. Okay. He might be that glue. You know what I'm saying? Like he's at a level of such a physical sport where he might be able to be like, dude, look. I get that you're getting the shit kicked out of you, but guess what? I'm getting the shit kicked out of me too. Let's pull this together. Because I feel like Big Ben's problem doesn't have a father figure.
Oh.
Does
he not know his dad?
I have no fucking idea. I have no fucking idea. But the point is he might need that help.
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton would be another good one.
No, he'd be the help.
So you're saying Steph Curry,
Big Ben.
Big Ben, Sean Payton, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, that's a fire bowling team right there.
You got one more person.
I got one more person. Oh, man. So this is a good one. I'm going to try and dig in. Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods would be a good one.
And he's the fifth.
My option, Randy Johnson, the pitcher from Arizona.
So I don't know about him, so you're going to have to elaborate.
So he's that kind of guy who he throws big strikes when you need him. Super fastball, all that cool shit. I could see him. The more I'm imagining the scenario of all these assholes in a fucking bowling alley.
Does Steph Curry get worn out by all these people?
No. Steph Curry's a team player.
Dude, he's the best team player. That's why I think he's the best pick of all of the five.
He is 1,000% a team player. Do you want to know how I know that? Because look at all he's done without all of the fucking people who, say, a LeBron would have. Or say that a Kobe would have. Don't get me wrong. They're both good.
He's an elevator. You play with Steph Curry, you're better.
You're better. 1,000%. You think people would be talking about Draymond Green without Steph Curry?
You want to talk about Sharp, an ultra soft player?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Fucking Draymond.
Fucking elevates. He serves a role. But he's not the best player on that team. But he'll make you. But Steph Curry, he'll make you fucking good.
So that's the bowling team.
That's the bowling team.
So that's a bowling team that wins, that plays together for 20 years. They win 12 championships.
They dominate. People fucking hate going against that team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't even like put together some personalities that are like, maybe you'll have a team that'll make a run that can do it big, but you know, even they win 12, but they go to 18.
You always fall short. Yeah.
So that makes me actually want to take it into this next bit. Is something that, because I don't know a lot about it, but I did hear a little something about the Francis Ngannou, that big contract that he signed with Dana White. Did you hear about that?
I did not.
So basically he got some like big contract, and the idea is that it's gonna like elevate MMA to like being more of a money producer that's gonna make more people want to get into fighting, like you know how kids grow up and they just get tunneled into being pros. Like you can, like, there's some kids that you can see at 10 years old and you're like, that kid's gonna go pro because he's got all the right pieces around him. He's getting pushed to the pro camps, the prep schools. He's playing, you know, in basketball. You know, he's going to AAU. You know, that like all of this stuff put together. Like there's a pretty distinct funnel.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem with MMA not being a huge money tag sport is like, what's the funnel to get into the UFC, right? Like it's weird. It's obscure. Like you might be a fucking hoss at your gym, and then you go compete locally at the championships, and you're
kicked out of you.
and then you're really good. And then maybe you switch to another gym, and then a coach sees you at a tournament, and they're like, okay, well, let's bring him on. And so it's like, it's very obscure. Like, you can't just be like, I want to be in the UFC, let's make it happen.
I would say that's for sure like a more niche market. Like, if you don't know how to fight, like, you're not coaching someone to be the best.
So, well, my point is, like, let's say you, even if you are or aren't a naturally gifted fighter, how do you go about just getting into the UFC? Like the ladder that you have to climb isn't like a rung above a rung above a rung like it is for baseball, basketball, football. It's weird. Like you might have to come over here and then go over there and then do this thing and then get really lucky. And that's another part of it, is like getting in the UFC. Like you got to get really lucky. Like you could, like I think about that all the time. Like how many people exist in the United States that just do judo competitions? They go to their local BJJ gym. They, they fight in an MMA gym locally that would belt in the UFC, but they'll never know because they'll never get there. And you could say the same thing for football, but I feel like that's a little less relevant.
Yeah.
So, but on that UFC thing, assuming that the UFC becomes more of a, hey, this is like a big time sport, and you start seeing kids real young, starting at a young age, training of the goal of becoming a legendary fighter, because kids aren't born. The UFC is recent enough to where a lot of people in the UFC didn't grow up going, I want to be a UFC fighter. Like that's not how it is. That's kind of what I'm saying, is that it's not a huge goal for a lot of people. Like how many kids, like even me, I can say, growing up, like the idea of like playing pro sports, like when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be in the NFL. Like what kid didn't say that?
Exactly.
But like what kid says I want to be in the UFC? It's not popular enough. But my next bit was, what current active NFL players would hoss in the UFC? Because you can't just take the biggest guys. You have to take the most athletic guys, for sure. And then who do you think would have the natural skill set and be coachable to become a good fighter? Like, would Aaron Donald be a good UFC fighter?
I don't think so.
Like, he's a fucking hoss. I mean, the dude weighs like 210 and can bench like 500 plus pounds. He's got the strength.
He's an athlete for sure.
So do you think if you put, I don't even know the name of some of the good gyms, but like if you take Aaron Donald and put him in like Tough, for example, and do you think that like under Chael Sonnen, Aaron Donald can win Tough and get a UFC contract?
There's potential for sure. I would say Antonio Brown, but his thing would be that he's a fucking wild card.
Well, you got to think, because fighting is a super high IQ sport. Like, even though you're like, oh, you're fighting, you're getting all fucking bloodied up and blah, whatever. But the idea is, it's more like a chess match. The more you get into it, like maybe 10 years ago with Ronda Rousey, it's like, who's just more aggressive and can hit harder? And then you could even see the progression in fighting skill, where Ronda Rousey was the tank, and then all of a sudden, fighters who are nobodies now would easily house Ronda Rousey, because it's much more of a chess match now.
It's very technical. And I think that's what you'd have to look at.
That's why I don't think AB would be that good.
Is the technicality of it, which would make a great argument for like an Aaron Donald. He seems like the kind of guy who he wants to kind of focus almost on the fundamentals. He seems like the kind of guy who would be like, okay, I want to really get good at striking. Okay, I'm pretty proficient at striking now. Now I want to go to the ground game. Now I want to go do this. Now I want to go do that. But I still don't know if he would necessarily be a good fighter. I mean, look at Greg Hardy. He's a guy who did it. He said, I was in the NFL. I beat my wife. Now my NFL days are done. But guess what? Something about the UFC seems like it might be kind of good.
What's funny is Greg Hardy was the inspiration for this bit.
and that's my point. And he's, at least, from what I've seen, he's not that good. He can kind of fumble his way around. He can kind of, I guess, hold his own.
What's a good weight? Like, what weight are like most NFL players kind of sitting at? Middleweight, like 185?
Oh, heavyweight for sure.
You think most NFL players would be fighting? No, because you got to think.
Or light heavyweight. Sorry. Because light heavyweight.
What weight is that? 195?
195. So you got 195. Well, you got 205.
Well, you got to think. So like these players, NFL players especially, aren't fighting conditions. So like you would take Aaron Donald and you would cut him 15 pounds. He's walking around right now at 215. He'd probably fight at 185. Aaron Donald at 185?
Oh, he'd kill you.
But then you're talking 185. Would Aaron Donald house Israel Adesanya?
He's too big. It's way too big. It's like that old Conor McGregor bit. You're a stick in the mud. You're a stick in the mud. I'll move around you. It's no big deal.
So that's the whole point, is that like Aaron Donald would have to like size up to like. No, I think Aaron Donald's actually like 250.
He's a big boy. Dude.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so he would actually fight at heavyweight.
Like you'd have to take dudes like Tyreek Hill or Julian Edelman.
Well, Tyreek Hill's so small. Tyreek Hill in fighting shape would probably be fighting like 155 lightweight.
I could see that. I can see that, but I feel like he might be a good choice. He might be a good choice in terms of transitioning from one sport to another.
Speed and athleticism. I mean, he ran track.
He ran track, so he has the cardio for sure.
That's
It's obviously been proven.
Because I'm thinking more like athletic, smaller framed, very, very like athletic wide receivers. I'm thinking like Beasley, Edelman, Cooper Kupp, like those guys I think would be good UFC fighters.
I think Travis Kelce would be a good scrapper too.
I don't know. I don't think
because you got to think.
I think every tight end would be really bad in the UFC.
Even George Kittle.
Oh, George Kittle is the worst. He'd be the worst. I think Kelce beats Kittle's ass in a fight.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that fight.
Zach
like,
Ertz, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and fucking Jason Witten and Shannon Sharp all just like start fighting each other.
Honest to God, Shannon Sharp's beating all their asses.
You think he is?
Oh, 100%.
You think the street's coming out?
1,000%. He said, dude, check this out. Have you ever felt the fucking power of Henny and a Black and Mild? Kadoosh.
Wood tip. Scale. Boom.
Knocked out. He'd hit you in the butt every fucking time. He looks like a guy who knows how to fight. Purely based on who he is as a person. Same thing with Ray Lewis.
Oh.
Ray Lewis would murder in the UFC.
Dude, that's a brick wall. That guy.
Patrick Willis, that's another guy.
Fucking Ed Reed.
Oh my god, Ed Reed. Oh my god.
We start talking about safeties. Safeties would be the best UFC fighters.
1,000%. Those dudes have to hit
safeties and linebackers, dude.
Safeties and linebackers.
Like Fred Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking. Would Micah Parsons be a good fighter?
Not enough of a sample size.
Okay.
But I could see it. I could see him like if his progression from this year goes on into further years, like if he stays the same level of consistency throughout the next, say, 3 years, we might have an argument there.
Derek, TJ, and JJ Watt. 3-way brawl. Who's winning?
TJ.
Think TJ Watt's winning the fight?
You gotta think. TJ Watt is like the most productive out of the three of them.
In football. We're talking about sacks.
That's what I'm saying. JJ?
You're not taking Derek?
JJ Watt, way too injury prone. Derek Carr only shows up when he makes a big fucking play on special teams.
Derek Watt.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you said Carr.
Well, I did say Derek Carr. So Derek Watt, he only shows up when he's making special teams play. And you gotta think, in the NFL, you get drafted as a outside linebacker. Derek Watt. You're good, but you're not that good. So guess what we're going to do? We'll throw your ass on special teams. You can make some really big fucking plays, and you can make some really big hits. But you're not consistent. TJ, on the other hand, very consistent. Sure, he has that bite of being a fucking Watt and just maybe having some injury problems. So, in terms of longevity...
Who has the sack record? Strahan?
Is Strahan at 22 and a half. But TJ just tied it this past season.
But did they give it to him? I thought they didn't give it to him.
They gave it to him.
Okay.
So he tied the record at 22 and a half.
Well, that's the thing is Michael Strahan kind of didn't get it because Favre gifted it in the last
I know.
one.
I saw that. That dude, he was like, well, I kind of just gave it to him because,
I mean, yeah.
He's my friend.
And they, like, smiled and shit. And,
yeah. So, but you got to think how many records like that were born.
What is the Stockholm Syndrome that is like, this guy has beat my ass and sacked me for, like, years. I've seen him so much in the backfield hitting me, and he's helped me get up that, like, we're homies now.
Any quarterback that goes against Aaron Donald, I guarantee you.
Likes Aaron Donald?
Dudes like that, who are just like... Andrew Luck is a perfect example. You could hit that dude over and over and over again, but he'll still be a friend. He'll still like you. So, I guess... I don't know. That might...
Like, is Leighton Vander Esch a good UFC fighter?
No.
I think he is. Leighton Vander Esch strikes me as the guy that could, like, get knocked to the fucking canvas in boxing, like, for the 10th time and still get up before the 10 count.
I'll only agree with you because of this past season. Because of his ability to rush and hurry to get to wherever the fucking action is. It didn't matter what was going on. Van Der Esch always seemed to be there when he was playing. The fucking play could have happened on the other side of the field, and I can just fucking T2 fucking T1000 sprinting across the fucking field, trying to get in there, trying to get in them fucking mix. But bring it back a little bit, he might be that glue. He might be that glue in the bowling alley. He might be that guy who says, guys...
Van Der Esch is on your bowling team?
He says, guys, it doesn't matter what's happening. We are all in this together, and I will fucking be there. Because you gotta think, not a lot of guys in the NFL are like that.
Well, you're talking about that, like that spunk. I mean, you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. That's a dude who can look at the clock and go, there's 13 seconds left. We're not giving up.
He says, fuck it. I was bombing down the fucking field 2 times. I'm Patrick fucking Mahomes.
It's a one-in-a-generation player. Love or hate.
I am the fucking greatest master of fucking trick plays.
And the idea with Mahomes is he's got to be arguably the most coachable player of all time. Like the way that he can take... Like, imagine being so great that you're on top and then being able to listen to somebody who's not as good at the position as you and still take their advice and their criticism and be better for it. That's the missing piece with Aaron Rodgers is, like, nobody can tell him...
he's not coachable.
Nobody can tell him shit. Whereas I feel like even fucking goddamn, what's his name? Cliff Kingsbury, found Patrick Mahomes, for example, and kind of elevated him where he's at. I mean, under Cliff Kingsbury, Patrick Mahomes had a losing record at Texas Tech. But my point is, Patrick Mahomes has attained basically the penultimate level of success, and like he's only going to get better.
I would say
so. Like, coachable is an aspect that you have to think about too. Right, that's why AB wouldn't be on the team because you can't tell him shit.
You can't coach him.
Odell Beckham, you can't tell him
Tom
shit.
Brady.
Tom Brady can't tell him shit. He will, if he learns how to get better at bowling, it's because he did it himself.
Drew Brees, he's very coachable. You have to think he came from the Chargers, who are doing really fucking good. He tears his ACL. They take up Phillip Rivers, and they go on this little bit of a tear for 3, 4, 5 years.
Never get there.
Breeze comes down to New Orleans, kind of has that same little bit of a rut, wins them all, and then still is on that same consistency page where he is almost there, but something dumb happens. The Minnesota Vikings. Something stupid always seemed to happen to him.
Are you saying the Minnesota Vikings are stupid?
No. But what I'm saying is, like, in New Orleans, their aura, that's what they're thinking. They're like, these motherfuckers, dude. But I think that's what would make him good. He'd be consistently good. Drew Brees would definitely not be a UFC championship. Or he definitely wouldn't be a champion. But he'd be right there. He's like Colby Covington.
Oh.
He's right there. He's always right there. He's always in the mix. He's always in the conversation.
Wait a minute. Have you ever seen Colby Covington and Drew Brees in the same room at the same time?
They might be the same fucking person.
They're the same person.
They might be the same person.
They even look the same.
They kind of do be looking the same.
They look the same.
And I think Colby Covington is from Louisiana. That might actually be factually 1,000% incorrect.
No, he's from Louisiana. We're just going with it. They're the same person.
They have to be. And that's why he's, like I said, he's always in the mix, but he's never there.
So yeah, I guess we're not talking like, because we can't just be like, oh yeah, who in the UFC could who in the NFL could go get a UFC belt? It'd be like, who in the NFL could be viable in the UFC? Like, who could work? So you're saying, but do you think, could you see Drew Brees hitting somebody in the mouth? I'm not seeing any quarterback be a good fighter.
I don't think most quarterbacks would be good fighters. It would be...
Like, the closest is, like, Michael Vick, and all he would fight is dogs.
1,000%.
So, Michael Vick, I'm sure he'd love to say he hit somebody in the mouth, but do you think he'd be good?
I think I could see Michael Vick hitting somebody in the mouth. I could see, like, Donovan McNabb hitting someone in the mouth. RG3.
So now just because they're black quarterbacks, they're going to be good at the UFC?
It's the streets.
Steve McNair.
No, he got shot, so he's out of the question. He's donezo.
You don't get shot in a UFC ring.
As far as he knows. He might get shot in the UFC ring. Who knows? The point is that I think it's all back defensive linemen, like LeBron. I don't think he'd be good in the UFC. For starters, it's real petty. He's way too fucking tall. He'd have a fucking reach on you like nobody's business.
Well, I mean, Israel Adesanya is like 6'5". Like, that's the whole point. Max Holloway is like 5 times taller than anybody in that weight class.
I could see it. Can you imagine a 6'8" LeBron?
Because he's
a crisp 195.
185 even.
He would smoke. Purely based on reach, he would smoke anybody who fought him.
I think LeBron would be good in the UFC.
He looks like he could, he looks like he would put on like one of them really good fights that you want to see, where they just go back and forth, and they just fucking scrap it out the entire time.
Honestly, that's like, not to like, favor the most talked about player in sports, but like, LeBron probably would be good in the UFC, honestly.
He probably would be.
Yeah, I think I could see him sizing down to like a 185 and just going on a fucking tear. Like, I could see him being the guy that nobody wants to fight. And then knowing LeBron is who he is, like, he would be like the Conor McGregor. Like, he would just huge ticket draws. He's a big personality. Everybody would talk about him.
Russell Westbrook is another one.
No.
Hear me out. I think that with Russell Westbrook, he might like favor himself, and I think that might pin him good in the UFC.
Oh, being a cocky asshole helps you in the UFC.
1,000%. Because like if you were to watch like Russell Westbrook and James Harden fight, I kind of think that I think Russell takes it.
Well, maybe in that particular fight, but I think Russell Westbrook's just got too soft of a chin. I think he's not technical enough. He chooses he's peak performer in what he's good at, and he's really bad at what he's bad at, and that's the kind of shit that would expose you in the UFC, because I think in the UFC it's such a chess match that anybody that goes against Russell Westbrook would just study what he's weak against and exploit him. I think Russell Westbrook is a knockout or get knocked out type of guy.
And I think that's the same thing with all NBA players.
I think LeBron would be good, though.
He likes to flop.
Well, we're taking that out of it, because like in the UFC, like, you don't just flop. Like, the whole point is to be tough and not flop. So we're just ignoring that aspect, because if we're talking about that, then we got to take every single NBA player off the list.
Except Draymond. So I gotta pee.
Hello, everybody. This is Bradley with the Brews and Balls podcast, where we talk about balls and ballers and how they ball. And that's probably not the name of the podcast, but we're going in with the sports takes. This is a hot one. This is a hot one for sure. But not every show is going to be bullshitting our way through random shit. It's just a fun little idea that we have to find new and interesting ways to talk about sports and players that are already being talked about. Because everybody loves to have the LeBron Kobe or LeBron Jordan argument, but who the fuck is talking about if LeBron will beat somebody's ass in the UFC? So that's what we're doing over here at Brews and Balls.
You know, we gotta keep playing with balls, bees, all that shit. Bradley BBC on TikTok. Give me the follows. Give me the follows. But with that being said, my cohort is on his way back. I kept the audience busy. I know your idea originally was to probably cut the audio. You might be able to cut this part that we're talking about, but maybe you go back and listen to what I said. If you want to keep it in there, you can keep it in there.
I could barely hear you in the bathroom, but so I might keep it in. I might cut a little bit of it out, but
yeah, the beginning and the end. But maybe this is some of the shit I was saying.
So I guess I don't know. Grand scheme of things, I don't know who would be the best pro athlete going into the UFC. Because like you said, I think the UFC is such a chess match. It's not like boxing. Boxing is obviously a chess match. Because, you have to, typically what happens is, even between boxing and the UFC, the first round is typically, I'm going to throw this, see how you react. I'm going to throw that, see how you react. And I'm not sure of how many guys could react to that kind of chess match, because their sport is so bang bang. It would almost be worth it to think what kind of head coaches.
Okay, so on that, it's a battle royale.
Okay.
They just got dropped into the Fortnite map in person.
Andy Reid 1,000% is taking Tilted Towers.
Who's winning the battle royale? The coaches. So you gotta think, who's just dead? Who's just dead? Pete Carroll dead.
Pete Carroll is dead.
Dead.
I'd almost throw Mike Tomlin into that bit.
You don't think Mike Tomlin makes a run?
He might make a little bit of it.
I think Mike Tomlin makes top five. Top
2
five.
or 3. I think his reign is over. You got to think, he's been coaching for 15 years.
No, they're in the battle royale. So they're fighting to the death.
Oh, then he's out.
You think Mike Tomlin just gets killed? Who kills Mike Tomlin?
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll kills Mike Tomlin, and then Jim and John Harbaugh just team up.
They team up for a little bit because they have that whole, we're brothers. We have to stick together.
And then they come into the room, and then Belichick just goes, Jim, you're not even an NFL coach. Boom. Boosh. Shoots him. John goes, no! Kills him.
I think Belichick's top 5.
No.
In a battle royale?
No. Because I'm thinking it is
a strategy.
So it is a battle royale, though. I'm not talking, they're not fisticuffing. Okay? It's a battle royale. Pistols, ARs, shotguns, baseball bats, fucking axes, nunchucks, all that type of shit. They can just find them. So luck is involved, obviously, because it's a battle royale. Who's a lucky coach? Who shits themselves into the top 3?
Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers.
You think Kyle Shanahan just accidentally finds himself in the top 3?
Jimmy G is his shotgun. He switched to it at the last second and said, oh shit, kadoosh. But I'd also put, Sean McVay up there.
Sean McVay, I mean, he's just, you got to think, okay, well, he's in the best shape, probably.
He's in the best shape. Him and Matt LaFleur. Probably I actually think that
Brian Flores, Cliff Kingsbury, these younger guys that are in good shape.
They're in the good. They're in the best shape.
Mike Vrabel, Sean McDermott.
That's a whole other argument for a whole other episode.
What's the battle royale?
Battle royale bracket. Take all 32 take all 32 NFL coaches and go through and see who wins at the very end.
All right, so that can be our next one.
That could be the next one.
We can start there, and then part of what I was saying on that little bit, whether or not you choose to cut it or anything else out, try to make the editing easy on you. Mm-hmm. But we can. I was saying we can definitely do some funny takes. And the idea of the podcast is not only going to be to talk about sports and relevant topics, like we can go into, I think especially in the next episode, we should talk about like the actual games that are going on and shit like that.
For sure. We can do that.
But the idea being like we can find like new, funny, and interesting ways to talk about things and players that are already being talked about. Like everybody's talking about LeBron versus Jordan, but nobody's talking about LeBron versus Jordan if they were to go head to head in a golf tournament. You know what I'm saying? So like that's like that can be like something that we also do throw a little twist because that was this whole episode pretty much.
Pretty much. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're willing to, sit here and that's the episode. That's all right.
Yeah. I mean, what do we call this thing?
Like I said at the beginning of the episode,
Brews and Balls.
Brews and Balls is a good one. Brews and Balls is a good one.
Brews and Balls.
Brews and Sports, but it seems kind of climactic. Brews and Balls might be a good one. That might be a good one. Like I said though, the name's coming. We'll brainstorm some options.
We're gonna try and do this like what, once a week?
Let's do it once a week
because it'd be a lot easier. I can just like come in here and we can do it.
Yep, we could do it on like
because
Friday
like for example, like today's just a fucking Wednesday. It just happened. And it could be like no big deal.
We could do it on Fridays.
Before I go get
before the other B shows up and before you go get the baby. Works out.
And then occasionally, if he just is like here early, like he is sometimes, he can be in on it and have his stupid ass takes, and that can be what the episode's about.
You can hear some of the dumbest fucking takes in the entire sporting fucking world.
But yeah, the interim Brews and Balls. I'm Bradley.
This is Brandon.
Thanks for joining us, folks. We hope to do this more. See you next time.